What's up,
cutie?
Rose? Hi.
Hello.
Hello. My hair's all natural today.
It looks
It looks
great.
good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. I wasn't fishing.
Are you recording on all your spaces?
Yes.
Every last
I
one
am.
of them.
Every last one. Every gosh darn dingle dingle wingle.
I'm recording on all my spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch ABC Family?
Yeah.
You guys remember that channel? It was also
Yeah.
Fox
Oh, yeah,
Family
yeah.
before
Yeah.
that.
I started with Fox Family and then made the
And did the
conversion.
transition. Yeah, same. And I was like, I hate this, but I was like,
Yeah.
also I'm 12.
Yeah.
Anyways, or maybe I was way younger. Do either of you guys remember this show called The Great Pretenders? And it was a very silly show where young people would compete by lip syncing well.
Oh,
Yes,
I
I
do
do remember that show. Yes, it's like air guitar, but for lip syncing.
Yeah.
So stupid.
It's
But
very
I think
stupid.
about it on a daily basis because its song has been stuck in my head since whenever year that was out. And I cannot find information about it on the interwebs. Maybe it's out there now, but I couldn't for a very long time.
The show I liked on on Fox Family, rather, was State of Grace. It was like a little sitcom with the two, preteen girls, and the one was Jewish and the other wasn't, and that was like the whole plot of the show. But I was like, this is me. I'm Jewish, and the other people aren't. I know all about that.
I know
It
this
was
life.
definitely
Yeah.
produced by like that exact same situation.
Yeah.
Like
100%. It was produced by me somehow. Like, I made that show. I have no memory of it. I remember like little lines of dialogue here and there, but there's no way to watch it anymore. It was like one season, one and done.
Those things are so
there
weird.
are things that are not on the internet.
Yeah, no,
and
there are things
a
that
lot
are
of
not on
them
the
are from Fox Family.
Yeah, not a lot of that made it onto the Great Internet Archive, and it makes me feel crazy because I watched all that shit religiously.
You can't find clips of Vampira's show on the internet. You cannot find.
Really?
You can only find her intro and her scream, and it's because she started after trying to do the lawsuit and stuff. She started licensing all of her material and all of her clips, and she took it all back and was like, I am owning this. If you want to see this,
Right.
if anyone wants to see this, you have to pay at
Right.
vampira.com to see it.
Yeah.
Which good for
Especially
her.
if that's like your whole. I mean, she's like a small business basically.
Yeah,
of
essentially.
the Vampira world.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's passed away, unfortunately.
Vampira. Wait, yeah. What are we talking about now? Oh yeah,
I'm talking about
so
Vampira, not Elvira.
that just really got me confused.
I
that
know.
whole second then.
You could see why she might think that she stole her identity.
Yeah.
It's
That's pretty funny.
yeah.
I feel like she didn't have a choice. Okay.
No, she did not. No, it's not her.
Yeah,
at
that
all.
was
I
really the one model for scary chick, was the Morticia Addams model.
Well, scary and sexy go together really
Yeah.
well. And it's partly because
Wait. What?
yeah, scary and sexy go together really well because
Ooh,
when
tell me
you
more.
when you are procreating, when you're engaging in sex and you are having
Heard
a
of it.
child, it's sort of like the beginning of the end of your life. You are now putting out there, I'm saying
Holy
no,
shit.
you are starting
Not where I thought this was going.
Not
you're
me
starting,
neither.
you're starting a new legacy. You were admitting that there is someone after you, and you're not the center of the universe anymore, and that's scary.
Oh,
It's
I
like a
see.
death to you.
I think
Yes.
even if I do have a kid, I will still remain the center of the universe, and y'all can quote me on that. This shit revolves around me.
Hollow Mass, which was a Catholic thing, which I think later was taken to become Day of the Dead too, is about praying to the dead and hoping for fertile marriages. So you are onto something there. It's some people die, but we should also pray for others to live.
Yeah,
so
it's like a
true.
trading of
That goes.
souls. Yeah.
And you would, I know why I know this. I know why I know this. You want to know why I know this? Because we're talking about it today, and that's why I just figured this out. Oh my gosh. Little boys working in the church would dress up like virgins.
I hope they
Well,
were.
that's-
And they were.
I hope they were.
I hope. They would dress up and they would be.
They were virgins.
I mean, lady virgins, the virgin.
I thought you meant they would dress up like gamers or something. They would just dress up like fucking virgins. Yeah, okay, I get it now.
It's one
I'm
of
with
the
you.
original kind of like spaces. I gotta get rid of that word. One of the like the OG kind of like we're gonna dress up for Halloween times was for the Hollow Mass when the little boys would dress up like lady virgins.
Okay, so they were doing drag.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that was to be stoked about fertile marriages and say
Right.
goodbye to dead people.
Huh.
You know,
Very
there's something about
Dia
the
de
death
los
that you're just
Muertos.
like, yes,
ish, yeah.
that's where it's from. That's definitely how you trace that history is from to Hallow Mass.
Cool. Okay, well, let's introduce the pod. Since
Right.
we're already
I would
getting
love
into
to.
it. Okay.
My little dog is doing her shitty little bark at just nothing right now, and it's
I can't
making me
hear
so
it.
happy.
I'm so cute. Though.
I
She's
can't
just on
hear
the
it.
floor like she's so shitty.
Aw.
Anyway, welcome to Low Culture Boil, the trash podcast about trash culture hosted by 3 trashy babes. I am your host, Rax King.
I'm your other host, Courtney Rawlings, aka Gal de Board.
Okay.
Wow. I'm your normal host, Amber Rollo. Just the normal one.
You're literally
I've
dressed up
never
as
said-
Princess Peach right now.
I've never called myself the normal one before, but in comparison to Courtney, I don't
do
know.
think it's earned in this case because you're not doing a Cockney accent and Courtney is.
Well,
so
I
it's really...
am doing a Cockney accent.
No, we're not
This is
doing
what
that.
sleepy ladies do.
You guys need to get more sleep so you stop doing accents.
Okay.
I feel like the one informs the other very heavily.
I am dressed up like Princess Peach today. Which is
that-
perfect because today
right.
we are talking about sexy Halloween costumes.
We're actually
girl.
talking about slutty Halloween costumes.
Thank you. We are
because I
talking about
do think
slutty Halloween costumes. You're right. There's a difference.
You hear it described the one way versus the other way, and the one is much more meaningful, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we are talking about the widely kind of despised phenomenon of slutty Halloween costumes. I gotta say, I don't know why they're so hated, but I also feel like when I see, you know, like a beautiful young woman who I would normally like to see, when I see her wearing one of those like $40 Spirit Halloween costume in a bag things that's just
Yeah.
like a
Yes.
lycra dress,
Yes.
I think less of her. And it's not because she looks like a slut, it's because she has no imagination.
I've
Yes,
never
I feel the
done,
exact same way.
yeah.
I love slutty Halloween costumes, but I love like
sluts.
do-it-yourself slutty
Yeah.
Halloween costumes.
You gotta
know?
put your back into it, or it's
Yes.
not, you know, the Halloween costume has to be earned a little bit. You
Do
can't
it
just buy
yourself.
them in the bag.
Do it yourself so I can do you myself. You know what I'm talking about? You just saw a person walk by. It's okay.
did.
Don't
He
worry
scared
about
the shit out of me. I'm just like, is that a fucking werewolf?
it. Yeah,
I always thought it was because when I was growing up, we never bought, you know, costumes. And I was like,
Right.
oh, that's what rich people do. They buy
Yeah, me
their
too.
costumes. So I always associated it with wealth. And then one year I did buy it. And I was like, this is just when I was like in 6th grade, when I was like becoming a woman, I bought a Tinkerbell. But because I was still small, it wasn't slutty, you know? It was
Sure,
like literally at my knees. Anyways,
Well-
but I think it was supposed to be slutty.
I mean, now
Um,
they make. Yeah, they now make slutty Halloween costumes for children. It's gross.
That's
It is
so.
pretty
My mom
gross.
wouldn't let me like buy them mostly because they were too revealing, and so I had to make my own costume.
We
I
couldn't
did.
fucking afford them. They
And
were
they're
wildly
expensive.
expensive.
They're very
yeah.
expensive, and I
And
did
you wear
buy
them once.
I did buy one time because I bought like a sexy like Alice in Wonderland costume to be Alice in Chains because I was like bored like a bunch of
Oh,
chains.
well, that's funny.
And then
funny.
I like a pun, you know. And then
Yeah.
I got this thing, and I was like, I
So
thought
itchy.
I was saving myself time, but it's like it's expensive, but it's cheap. It's cheaply
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't feel good. It never fits right. It's never like sexy. It doesn't like fit my body the way I think it's going
No.
to. It's
No, it never does.
Mm.
Those things, the reason they're so expensive isn't because they're high quality. It's because they have something that you want only once a year, and they have to recoup the expenses of making it somehow.
they have to
They're just
recoup
like,
the
we're gonna
expense
upcharge.
of Spencer's gifts year round
Yeah.
through Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Leg
Spirit
Avenue.
Halloween is essentially like bankrolling so many people just by virtue of like slapping together just a lycra sheath and telling you you're gonna look good in it even when you know you won't, and they're just like, you're a Girl Scout, congratulations, and you're like, thanks, I cobbled this together like the day before Halloween. That's the whole business model of slutty Halloween costumes.
I was looking at Leg Avenue's website to see what exciting stuff was coming out, and a lot of them are sold out. I was like, whoa, people are very into
that might be
Leg
strippers.
Avenue.
Strippers buy Leg Avenue year round. That was my
amazing.
uniform. But like, I mean, this shit sells out fast. They make a finite number of them. They charge it to you at this severe, what do you call, markup, and you buy it because the convention is now, maybe not so much now, but I would say like early 2000s for sure, the convention was buy the sluttiest Halloween costume you can find, pre-made, throw it on your body, and go out and get hammered. I think now a little bit more of a premium is put on like clever Halloween costumes, or like the Alice in Chains one. Like people like when there's a funny little joke.
Yeah, I was Panda Express one year. I had a panda costume, and then I wore some sneakers and a sweatband.
Yeah. That's people like silly. That. That's very goofy.
It was not sexy. It was a full panda costume.
People don't know that Amber just has a hot dog costume.
Oh, I do. I just have one. I also like did a bunch of sketch comedy and like made sketch videos, and so I did just in my closet for a long time have a big box of costumes that just
That's so
you just
cool.
use
If I was
for
a
one
little
thing or
kid,
another.
that would be the most exciting thing that ever happened to me. When I was a kid,
oh my god, of course,
costumes were the best, most fun thing to do.
This, by the way, is not a costume. This is a dress.
I don't know if that's true,
this
Amber.
Is a dress that I wear. And I was like thinking about this episode and like what like you do with like putting costumes together, by like what you have already. And and I was like, oh well, I have a pink like dress that has like big arms and stuff. It's very like
bell
pretty
sleeves.
Yeah, bell sleeves. It's very pretty princess.
I can think of words this episode.
Thank you. Good job. I appreciate you. And then like I have these big fat heels with mushrooms on them, and I have a mushroom necklace, and I could be Princess Peach. I could like make myself a little crown out of like some cardboard and some markers. Boom.
It makes sense. They just announced that there's going to be another Mario movie.
Yeah,
too.
and I'm actually Italian, so
no bitterness.
Right.
I wanted to, for like years in a row, I've wanted to do the costume. This is not slutty in any way, of Tommy Wiseau from The Room, because I have all this long hair, much like a Dracula, much like Tommy Wiseau. And I have, just happen to have this oversized black suit jacket, just like his shitty oversized black suit jacket. And, sunglasses. You throw it all on. People go apeshit because people love The Room. And it's very low effort. And I would feel good about that. And I think I'm going to try and make it happen this year, maybe.
You should absolutely do it. And then, like, if you feel comfortable, maybe moon people sometimes. Because I feel his butt is a big part of that movie. And,
don't know that I'm gonna moon people. Don't know that anyone asked for that.
At least moon Sean.
Well, I do that all the time. It's not even special anymore. It's not even mooning. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just my ass is out, just like ambiently. Shut up, Shug.
I would want a fake butt in order to dress up as Tommy Wiseau.
I think a fake butt would actually be really funny, just like on the back of your suit pants.
Yeah. Yes. Not enough fake butt humor these days.
I'm saying. Just go to my website, notenoughfakebuttthumorthesedays.com, and sign my petition. Slutty Halloween costumes.
Oh,
There's like actually kind of an involved history here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Dating back, I would argue, about as far as like Victorian times in the US, when this general air of being favorably inclined towards exoticism kind of ruled the day. People were really into, India and Romania, all these exotic sounding places. Egypt, for sure. Yeah. Egypt was a huge deal. And one thing that came back in vogue around that time was celebrating Halloween. Up until then, it had really mostly been sort of a half-assed harvest festival, and then I believe it was Victorian Americans who found this old Robert Burns poem that described, Robert Burns, very famous Scottish poet, like the poet of Scotland. And in the poem, it describes a traditional Scottish Samhain celebration, which is the festival that Halloween's based on.
I was going to call it Samhain.
No, it's pronounced very Celticishly.
I'm glad someone did that research.
Yeah, because I wasn't about to try a Celtic word on my own. That's because none of the letters make the sounds that letters make. It's all a bunch of bullshit. So anyway,
even Celtic
Samhain
is spelled incorrectly.
And they read this poem. They were like, "Oh, this is cool as shit." And got really into costumes that were not slutty, because that still really wasn't allowed, but very exotic. You would see people dressing up like what they would have called gypsies. I mean, that's obviously a slur, but that's
what they would have called it.
Yeah, that's what they would have said, and that's what they would have called them to their faces at the time. And, you get a lot of those costumes, a lot of Egyptian costumes, Cleopatra, stuff like that. And that's when I would argue the vibe that, Halloween is a day to be someone you're not. That's when that was really cemented in America, was around the Victorian celebrations of it. It was all about, we're boring-ass white people 99% of the year, but on Halloween, I got to assume there was a shitload of blackface.
Oh, God, yeah.
Left and right. And it kind of stuck that way until about the 20s to 40s, when Hollywood becomes a thing.
That was when they were doing that at that time just to like obscure their identity, though, still, right? Or are they looking like hot yet? Not hot,
I think
but
like
pretty.
I think I don't know if they were slutty, but they were it was definitely a sexier thing. Like on Halloween, if you're dressing up like a gypsy character or a Egyptian character, you could show like you're a little bit of calf.
Yeah, right.
Clavicle,
a little bit of clavicle.
yeah, like it was just a little bit, but there was still the spooky element. Was still very into, like, guys were dressing up as like bats, so it was still a very like Halloween in your head.
That's so fucking funny. Guys as bats, flapping around in the night.
Vampiric kind of vibes, like very like what we associate with the spooky world. Like the Victorian house, for instance, is like a the center of horror films and stuff like that today. So,
but you are right. I mean, the original reason for dressing up on Halloween, the original practical reason, was that you're out doing fucking mischief and you don't want people to know that it's you. So you like put a mask on and you're free to mischief as you see fit.
Nobody can call you out in church. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And this is when that becomes, less prominent, and Halloween becomes more overtly a celebration and a party, particularly a costume party.
Okay.
And so that weaves itself into the cultural fabric. And then like 20s, 30s, 40s, all of a sudden you've got movies, right,
yes.
to promote. And
the speakies.
All these, the talkies.
The talkies, yes.
And the speakies.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
That's what it's called when I can't stop talking. She's got to
She's got a case of speakies.
Oh my God. That's really cute. The talkies. And like all these movies to promote. And in October, you of course have like fantasy movies about witches and monster movies, stuff like that. And that's when you start to have famous actresses, starlets, posing in more suggestive witch costumes, more
a little skimpier. Like
little,
the cat was
pin-up-ish.
the sexy cap was like invented by Hollywood in the 1940s. Like a pin-up-ish, but with the spook factor, little spook factor thrown in. Yeah, I was just gonna add it up until basically from the Victorian era to the 1920s. What we now call Halloween, which is a very American holiday, right? It's like not associated with anything. Like it's vaguely about fall.
The harvest.
I have no idea. But like we've totally lost that. And it did like kind of become concretized as this like kind of religious, non-seasonal holiday. So much so that by the 1920s, they were selling what will later become Leg Avenue outfit in a bag things, but they were like basically paper costumes, like a little paper hats, and you could have these like little kids mostly, but also adults would have like paper aprons that would just be like I'm a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah, around that time it was
You had a
like
sandwich
for the
sign that was
kids.
like ghost.
Yeah.
It didn't have a picture of a ghost. It just said ghost on it.
Yeah, we were very into irony.
But I mean, around the time, Halloween was for a while for the kids, and I
Yeah.
think it's the 1920s or so that trick-or-treating comes into being. But you've got women, adult women, dressing up, and what they're dressing up in is clothes that are a little more daring than they would normally wear. I have this really funny quote from the Huffington Post, timeline of sexy Halloween costumes, and a historian said, they wouldn't call it a sexy costume. It would be called something like women showing themselves off in the best light.
So they had ring
That's so
lights.
cute.
They just carried
Yeah,
the ring lights
right.
around with them. That was it.
Ass beat, face beat,
That's so cute.
big old titty injections. That's women showing themselves off in the best light.
It is now.
But so much of Halloween as we know it today, goes back to this kind of mid-century moment, just the pre-war years, but really 1920 to the 1940s where it's kind of a kid's holiday. But that's where Hollywood starts associating witches with October, and now there are pumpkins and spooky cats,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. And that was all due to these starlets promoting their seasonal films.
Right.
Which they
It's,
did
about witches and
Yeah.
magic and shit. It was vaguely of the season, but
If
it
you
was really
Google
about
them, they're
hot
really
women.
cute, by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
I
They
mean,
are.
and they did it before. I mean, they did it outside of October as well. They made these same
Right.
promotional posters and stuff outside of the fall season, but it really it caught on because this was a time when other women, regular women who weren't in the industry, who weren't actresses, were dressing up too. So then they started taking
Yeah.
cues from these posters and being like, oh, well, that's a good idea. I could wear that. I could look like that.
Right.
Basically, with the end of World War II, this kind of culture that had been latent, and suggestive and was mostly for kids becomes an adult holiday, almost becomes an adult holiday. It becomes a family holiday, but you also have your other adult friends over, maybe their kids over. That's where we're doing trick-or-treating basically until the 1940s to the 1970s. Halloween is a thing nationally. Everyone's
Right.
trick-or-treating. It's expected. And women aren't dressed sexily, but they're dressed, in ways that they wouldn't be able to in the day to day.
Right.
And are having these parties. And by the 1970s really is when the sex
Yeah.
appeal.
Send
With the
in
sexual
gays.
revolution. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, because of the gays. That's exactly
Yeah.
I
right.
mean, yeah.
And
the-
Elvira.
Yeah,
Elvira. Yeah.
Elvira. As the Spanish might say.
Yeah. You want to talk about the gay parades that were happening?
Gay rights.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not right.
You just
Sorry.
said, did you just say gay rights?
Say gay raids.
I was trying to make it one thing, but it still sounds
But it
two.
sounded not good.
I just love the idea that you're sitting there and you're gay rights. Just out loud for no reason.
This has been a very gay 2 episodes, actually.
It has. Gay rights.
Gays are responsible for Halloween. Thank you very much, gays.
Thank you. Gay rights.
I don't know why I looked up when I said thank you to the gays. But
Thank you.
Everyone that came before, pour one out.
Pour one out for all the gays. 70s, in neighborhoods that are already fairly gay, like Greenwich Village, the Castro in San Francisco, you start seeing these really lavish Halloween parties that, public Halloween parties that center around parades. Everyone's very, very heavily costumed. I believe drag queens, by and large, are running the show at these events.
They're the
So,
front of the line, for sure.
Yeah, so you can get a sense of how much effort is being put into costuming at this point. It's no longer, go to the drugstore and buy your paper bag that says ghost on it. It's it's expected that you put in a lot of effort if you want to participate in these parades. And that's where the sort of, not so much the sluttiness comes in, although I'd have to assume you're seeing women in these neighborhoods. The sorts of women who would live in these neighborhoods are probably going to wear especially daring Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
That's
They're
the calculus
Elviras
I do.
of
Yeah.
the Castro. Yeah.
They
they're
well, while there was these gay parades happening, there were anti like homophobic rallies happening next to them.
Right.
Sometimes like in
Raids,
Toronto. Yeah, they were protesting these parades. And so in response to that, the gay parades were like, you know what? We're going to just really give them something to talk about. We're going to really amp this up. Like if you're going to protest us, like let's really give you something to protest. And that's when they started doing, they're like, let's just really like get it like as sexy and like as loud and as lavish as we possibly can. Let's really like push the boundaries. Because like, fuck you. I'm going to do what I want. And then these parades became so popular and had such a draw that the local bars and restaurants were like, there's money to be made here. Let's get in on this. Let's start having parties ourselves, because obviously adults want to engage in Halloween now in a way that is different than it has been engaged with before. It's no longer just kids out trick-or-treating. It's now...
And not everyone has kids. Like,
right. Especially in these big cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. When I like lived in New York, it was like the first place I ever lived where there wasn't really like trick-or-treating the same way.
They'll go to businesses. I've like worked at places that are ground floor businesses, and we would get kids stopping by. It's always incredibly cute.
Yeah,
but I definitely, even in DC, like living in big apartment buildings, there would still be trick-or-treaters within the building.
Yeah, coming throughout the
New
building.
York.
Yeah,
this is the first place I've lived where nobody is going to knock on your apartment door on Halloween. And if they do, it's a murderer or a drunk person, or probably a murderer.
Most likely a murderer. You don't want to answer that door. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, New York has really made me, any time my buzzer goes off, even if I'm expecting it to, I'm just like, fuck off. No, do not come to my door. Never come to my door.
Yeah, I'd much rather you text than buzz.
It's like getting a phone call. You're like, no.
Yeah, no.
Gross.
None of that. But so that's essentially the origin story for Slutty Halloween. And, these...
I also assume, like, the reason that it's, like, associated so much with the 70s and how it became, like, a time for women to also show it off is, like, it's already... If it's mostly gay Halloween parties or parades, it's like already mixing sexuality with dressing up and kind of disguising yourself in order to be yourself or in order to show yourself sexually. And so that's what I kind of assume a lot of women were drawn to, this idea of like, oh, I can be a full hoe.
And you feel safe. If you're like in a gay parade, you feel safe being like very extra and being sexy and like, you're with friends and a community that loves you, and it's not like...
I mean, there is a lot of negative feedback to be given to straight women and the way they carry on in spaces that they perceive to be like gay spaces. I mean, you shouldn't be claiming your safety at the expense of someone else's. But at the same time, I do think it's a good thing that women of the time were looking at these huge, lavish parties and seeing that sort of possibility for themselves. I think that was a good development.
Yeah.
I will say that it started to sour, I would argue, in like the late 90s, early aughts, like the Girls Gone Wild.
Definitely.
As everything
era.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the like libertine developments of the 70s turned real sour between the 80s and the aughts. And, slutty Halloween costumes, it's no longer about being inventive. It's no longer even really about celebrating. It's, it's this pain in the ass thing you have to go buy at the Spirit Halloween store. And once you've bought it, you have also bought your ticket to get fucked up that night. Like, it's something that you have to do to have the right to party on Halloween night. It's obviously very commodified.
I read somewhere that, like, as the 1980s got closer, slasher films were, like, the movie du jour. And so much, I'm sure everyone knows this, but if you don't, like, a lot of slasher movies, especially the origin ones, like, it's just hot women dying. Like, that's, like, kind of what happens.
And that's what's coming out around Halloween time. Like, that's
exactly
the soundtrack.
So, like, there was a point where costumes were so gory that there was, like, a backlash to goriness. But, like, women now associated, like, goriness with like death and being sexy, and guys were like murderers. I mean, it was just like a lot going on in the 80s that was incredibly intense, but basically like complaints about basically adults taking it too far, with their costumes. Turned it around to like this kind of Disneyfization also that we saw in the aughts of like, okay, well, I'm not scary and I'm not going to be murdered in this slasher movie, but I am at the sluttiest I could possibly be.
And we saw that, I mean, everybody knows that line from Mean Girls, which I think really cemented the phenomenon.
I had no idea that cemented it. Like, you know what I mean? It was
everyone kind of knew.
It. Yeah.
Everyone had seen the phenomenon in action, but,
God,
it's just one line of dialogue. Halloween is the one day a year that a girl can dress like a total slut and no other girls can say anything to her about it. And that's like, oh, yeah, that's what we're all doing. We're entering into this covenant where, like, Halloween and the behavior that people exhibit on Halloween is tolerable because it happens for one night, and you can enter this like drunken fugue state if you want. You can drink yourself to blackout state in your slutty Halloween costume and totally abdicate responsibility for the evening if that's what you want to do.
It
and
definitely became like October spring break. Like,
totally.
I even saw the connection between Elvira's like kind of sexy cutout being in all the liquor stores with college students incorporating now Halloween and that, culture into being in college, basically. Right. It's like, okay, this is a college holiday.
When those ads were coming out and all the liquor stores had like cardboard cutouts of Elvira to support the ads, and college students would just fucking steal them and like bring them and like import slutty Halloween.
And Coors was like, that's okay. Like, good. Like, advertise us at your parties. Like, fine. We're fine with that.
Exactly. We're the beer Halloween.
How did every single frat house or even guy's house have stolen liquor store items? At least at my friends' parties. I was like, I never really thought about that until just now. I'm like, wow. Interesting. How did
Dudes, when they're in college, like, I think that girls have their klepto phase in high school.
Oh my, that's really funny.
We all steal from, we steal panties from Charlotte Russe and shit, and then dudes lag behind in maturity, as with all matters. And then in college, they have their klepto phase, and they just fucking steal, like, street signs. And
nothing useful.
So many street signs.
Yeah. Like, well, it's useful on the street.
Yeah. All of it is one home decor, I guess.
Yeah. They steal, like... 69 miles till this city. Yeah. They like stopped putting any 69 mile signs on like highways or like 420 mile signs on highways because they kept on getting stolen.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they're asking for it. That's hilarious.
I would absolutely steal a 69 mile marker because I'm kind of a frat boy. I like big tits and jokes about 69ing. Like, that's how I like to live. I don't know what it is about dudes. When they're in college, like, they just enter this werewolf state when they're drinking.
It's really funny.
They can't be held responsible for their actions. They just kind of lope off into the night and come back. Like, one dude I knew in college went off into the night. Mm-hmm. It's always into the night.
Obviously.
And he came back a few hours later with a Christmas tree. Like, from someone's house.
Nice.
From
like
inside
fully
the
decorated?
house. Yeah, it had all the stuff on it, and he just came back with it.
Oh,
I feel like there was always at least one guy that would disappear for hours and then come back, and it was just like one of your friends, and you'd be like, where'd you go? And they're like, another party. And I was like, where? We're like, what are you talking about?
At best it would be another party.
I was that person who disappeared. I would disappear. Just gone.
Yeah.
So funny. I was never that. I was always like, where did people go?
Yeah, me too. I was always the one being like, where's Kyle or whoever?
And everyone was like, Kyle will find his way back. And I'm like, are we sure Kyle's going to find his way back? He just had 5 shots in front of me.
Yeah, I just watched Kyle do a keg stand and then like disappear for 6 hours. Are we 100% sure?
Well, that's what I would do is I would black out and then I would run home. As soon as I blacked out, I started running home. That's what I would do. And then
that's the safe thing, I guess.
It's good, I guess. I don't remember doing it. I just have been told that that's what I would do. And then I would wake up in my bed and the party was like still going on. So then I would come back. I would take a little nap.
Wow. First of all, the party was still going on. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
College is crazy. I was just trying to think, like, what was I eating? What was I doing? Like, I can barely remember it now, which is sad.
Ramen.
I had a few sandwiches.
I had
sandwiches.
There was, like, I was never a ramen person. Anyways, this is not what the episode is about.
Sorry. But I did wear a lot of slutty costumes in college.
Yes, that's
but
what I was trying to say.
I will say that I made them all myself. Like, I was a Scrabble piece for a costume party, and like I made like a sandwich sign type of Scrabble piece, and it was like F you, and then I didn't have anything on really underneath except for fishnets, which is the way that you make a slutty Halloween costume, by the way. You take something, you take the pants off, and then you add fishnets and like a leotard.
That's literally all it takes, 100%.
Boom.
Or thigh highs. I did a lot of thigh high work.
Me too.
In college. Like
I still do a lot of thigh high work. I like them.
I love thigh high work. I love thigh high boots.
That's why I'm excited most about fall. I'm like, I cannot wait to wear a boot.
Yeah.
Anywho, because we didn't even seek out to make it slutty. It was just unsaid. Like, both my friend Emily and I were the two girls from, oh my God, famous movie. They're wearing blue. They're little girls. They're twins.
Oh, from The Shining?
The Shining.
The twins from The Shining?
We were like slutty, but not like literally not on purpose. We just were slutty.
I was oh my God. Yeah, I was Rocco from Rocco's
Slutty
Modern Life.
zombie.
I was a slutty Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life.
Amazing.
There was definitely a period where, for a while it would be unsaid. You weren't supposed to say that your costume was slutty. You were just supposed to be it. And then there was a time that it became like cool and hip to ironically say that your costume was slutty.
That's so true. Yeah.
I was explicitly slutty Fidel Castro one year. And it was very important to me that I say the slutty part.
Well,
I'm slutty Fidel Castro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in one of the articles you sent, it's kind of like, it's so weird. All these things that you know, but you don't recognize until someone writes them down. Like the Mean Girls thing. Yeah. Basically, this person argued, I think it was in the HuffPost piece, that like HuffPost piece, that the Mean Girls kind of saying like Halloween, is the one of the year, yada yada, solidified the slutty Halloween costume in such a way that it was now ironic and recognized as like it gave a name to something that people weren't acknowledging in the way that they might have before. And so I remember a lot, like everyone was kind of like tongue in cheek about sluttiness.
Yeah.
Remember,
you had to come up with like a really weird idea that didn't make sense as a costume. Put the word slutty before it.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then like Scrabble piece. You know, that's weird as shit. That's such a strange thing to be. But you throw sexy or slutty in there and it becomes kind of a unifying concept. It's like, oh, not only am I a Scrabble piece, but also my entire body is out. Like that, it's the two things that make a costume.
I will say Legally Blonde also had slutty Halloween costume
unsaid.
Unsaid. Yeah, not mentioned.
And a lot of college
2001 before 2004, and it was like very much like she was the only one at the party, and you're like, that was dressing as like a slutty costume.
She's in law school, and I'm like, can I tell you one thing about law school students?
Their
parties are insane.
Okay.
Yeah, they're much more horny than that movie wanted to admit.
No one is wearing like a blazer to the Halloween party
because they're all fucking suicidal. They're all. Their workloads are insane.
Yeah,
they're doing all this bullshit.
If you're not already rich, you're in $300,000 of student debt. You're gonna buy the Leg Avenue outfit, okay?
Yeah, it makes you horny to be in that much debt.
Yeah, pedal to the metal. No, you're like, you know what? I'm already dead, so might as well just go for it.
Pay off my student loans. We'll all be dead by then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real nihilistic energy that takes over everything you do when you're in law school.
It's the same reason why kindergarten teachers are the biggest partiers. It's like
and
nurses, yes, also.
Yeah.
Also, great slutty Halloween costume, sexy nurse.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I'm trying to think like sexy kindergarten teacher. That feels inappropriate to me.
Oh my God, that's what that is. That's
but there's a lot of ones
that's
that are
what's her name?
The
teacher who married her student later on.
Mary Kay Letourneau.
Yeah.
Why do I know that?
I know. I was like, wow.
and Villy Fulau. Why is that taking up space in my brain? I could be thinking about anything else. I could have so many thoughts.
Well, thank you for keeping it for me.
Welcome.
It was all for this moment.
I guess. Can I forget it now, though?
Absolutely.
Like, it's gonna stay.
Can we talk about some of our favorite, like, weird, slutty Halloween costumes? Now,
Well,
I sent you
I'll
mine.
put in.
so not like the ones that we
in
wore,
general.
but like in general. Like, remember? I think it was I don't know. I feel like it was like 2015 when they had the sexy grapes costume that
I remember
went
Sexy
viral.
Grapes.
And then they like started seeing all these other like sexy costumes that were out there. Like, they were all out there already, but like nobody was talking about it. Like, you could dress
Right.
up as like a sexy corn on the cob, you know?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Spirit Halloween website's sexy Halloween costumes section, and I'm seeing Dalmatian.
Oh yeah.
That's a big
SWAT
one this
commander?
season for some
Oh
reason.
god. Oh, the SWAT commander I think is really that's like, I'm like, whoa. Okay, way to put scary and sexy together.
Their Harley Quinn costume is so bad that they've had to put Harley Quinn on the t-shirt part of the costume because it's unrecognizable
Like,
otherwise.
this
That's
is
like a
what we're
little
doing,
kid.
just so you know.
Yeah, it's Harley Quinn.
Apparently, Leg Avenue, I like just randomly read an LA Times article, is a Los Angeles-based company that it was a Taiwanese family that moved here in the 80s, and the guy who started it it's still a family business, and he still runs it. And he was like, well, didn't know English yet, but I knew Saks Fifth Avenue was like the big sex, like a fancy
Fashion.
fashion
Yeah.
store. And I was like, well, Legs, that's a good one, but I didn't know about plural, so it's called Leg Avenue. And I was like, oh my god, you're the sweetest human being
One leg.
I've ever heard. Yes.
It's
We
so
couldn't afford
iconic,
both of the
though.
legs. No, it's perfect.
It's an iconic business
It's
name. I never knew it was a
iconic.
mistake.
I know. Well, I don't even know, like, if he was basically like, I just knew the word leg. And that definitely, like, brings us into the 1990s and or the early aughts, right before, this stuff blows up with also, I don't know if we already said this, but like Girls Gone Wild and the Playboy become, like, I guess it's the same time that like Spencer's Gifts and Oz is like kind of becomes.
It was
part
a
of the
very
culture. It all
costumey, like,
happens at
time.
once. Yeah.
Like, I feel like costumes became, I mean, obviously there were always costume parties and whatnot, but I feel like between the aughts and now, it's become much more acceptable to just wear a costume whenever.
Yeah.
Or like a costume-like thing. You know what I mean?
Costume parties too.
Yeah.
Like, all of college is just, the big parties always have a theme.
Yeah.
It's like you have
Yeah.
to, like, they're crazy themes, by the way.
Yeah, you always have to go like buy shit for them, and
Yeah.
it's deeply annoying.
I liked the ABC. I liked the ABC parties. Anything but clothes.
Right.
So
Oh,
you just
right.
had to wear.
Those are
You never
classic.
had to buy anything for that one. You just like
Right.
put on, a trash bag.
Well, no, you have to buy. I would always I had to get one time like the tape that the police
Duct
use,
tape?
like caution
Oh,
tape.
caution tape. Yeah, to make a tape, caution tape, band dress. That was
Oh
a
my God.
classic one.
Yeah.
Everybody
That was,
did.
yeah. Exactly.
I was forever making band dresses. I was forever making bandage dresses out of whatever material was at hand. And then I'd be sweating my entire torso disgustingly.
It's disgusting.
It's a horrible way to live. I'm really glad that I am
21 or
not
something,
that.
like, you just don't feel like I
Yeah.
don't know how I wore even Forever 21 objects. Like, I've gone back to some of them. I'm like, this feels like I'm wearing Velcro. I'm
Yeah.
like, how did I wear this all the time?
I put on a pair of heels that I used to wear all the time in college. They were like my comfy heels, and I was like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
man.
God.
I'm gonna
Heels
die
were-
right
also because you got to
now.
get the cheap ones too.
Yeah.
And I remember like getting like a rash from how cheap my heels were one time. And I was like,
Yep.
oh, well, I still got to wear these.
I just wanted to show you my heels that I would wear to be Princess Peach.
Every time I see them, I think that they're pizza. For some
They're not
reason.
pizza. It's mushrooms.
No, it's a mushroom.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
very
it.
obviously a mushroom.
It's very obviously mushroom.
They're very cute.
Thank you.
And they look pretty comfy for
They
heels.
are.
Yeah.
No, they're
They
super
follow
comfy.
the stripper heel
Yeah.
model where you've got to have a
Fat.
high platform.
Yeah, you get them fat and high platform. Oh, yeah, it's good.
Oh, no,
It's cushy.
Just in case anyone is thinking about starting a heel thing, always go for the block. Okay, the stiletto hurts. It hurts.
I did recently get a pair of stilettos that it was like vintage on Etsy from the 70s, and they're super cute. But
Ooh, I can't wait to see them.
No, I
Oh
I
no!
showed you.
Oh yeah.
They're
those,
clear
white
and they have
ones
like
with the
daisies
flower,
all
yeah.
over them, like little daisies. They're super
Yeah,
cute.
those are
but
so cute. Those also look very 90s. Like there was something very sex was in the air, okay, in the 90s and the early
That does make me wonder, what is the goal of the slutty Halloween costume? I mean, I know that whatever goal you have is probably just ambience. Like, you're not setting out to plan your Halloween costume with a whole battle plan in mind.
Right.
But, like, is it just because you want attention, which is fine? Are you looking to go home with someone?
I think it's
or
also
are
the
you
rise
just...
of hookup culture, right? I assume is on the rise at the same time.
I don't really believe in the arc of hookup culture the
Like
way
as
that
a
it keeps
history?
being presented to me. I think people were much more whorish in decades past than they want to cop to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but
I
I
do
I
think
mean-
that is the case. I think people just weren't talking about it. You're not allowed to say it, but you were.
Right, but
doing
when
it.
you
Yeah.
can say it, it takes on a very different vibe. Like if you can say
That
you're
is
having a
true.
one night stand, like you were allowed to say
Sure.
that without judgment when I was in college. Or you're like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
true.
I'm never gonna fuck him again, and
Right.
there was like,
Yeah,
fine. I don't
I
know.
think-
It wasn't even a thing.
in college, I was like going out to costume parties with the idea of going home with someone. So that was part of my outfit for sure, to get the attention I needed to have someone take me home.
You know, I
not
don't think
come
I
home
actually
not come home with
ever-
me, because I would never have someone over at my place. I hated that. But
I don't think I ever actually got laid on Halloween. I often had it in my mind as like something I wanted to do, and I also was like getting laid all the time
Yeah.
otherwise. But like
Woo.
Halloween,
I feel like you get
Other-
too drunk.
yeah, I would always get too drunk and just
I would at
go
least.
home.
Yeah,
I would.
I'd be like, well, tonight I'm going insane and
Right.
I always got laid.
vomit.
Sorry, you guys.
I never did on any of the like big party nights. It was always
Yeah,
just
that's a
the
good
rest of
point.
the
I don't think
week.
so.
I got laid on Halloween one time in college wearing a sexy, quote unquote, and it was not sexy, clown costume. And I was
Oh my
wearing
God. Amber, your life story is so insane.
I
That's
was
so
wearing
fair.
a full face of like clown makeup with a nose, with the wig and everything. And like a tight dress and like fishnets. But like not I don't know. I seriously think about this man a lot, and I'm like, why?
They're so imaginative, men. It's always
Why?
when I look my worst.
Yeah. I was like, what? I was not looking good.
But they don't know. They don't think we look good when we think we look
I
good.
know,
They
it's
have
super
weird
weird.
standards. Sean the
Yeah.
other day, I was like just wearing a t-shirt with like a big hole in it, and he was just like, "Oh, you look so sexy right now." I'm like,
That happened to
I
me
look like I crawled
yesterday.
out of the garbage.
I was
Like,
literally wearing, I had just woken up, hair was like matted. It wasn't even
Yeah.
purposely in a bun. It was just stuck. And a sweatshirt. And Danny's like, oh, you look so cute. I was like, what?
They don't know. They don't
It's
know
very
the standards
strange.
that
No,
we
they
know.
have no idea what we're doing.
No.
And so, yeah, clown could have just been. that was your
Or maybe
type.
he
that was
had a
your
clown
moment.
Maybe he had a
fetish.
clown thing. I don't know. I have, yeah.
But the aughts was like, I mean, the late 90s and early aughts, you know, just before, I guess, we all go to college.
I was
you
in
know,
I
is
was in
marked
college
by-
2005 to 2010, just so you know. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
I was in college in the aughts. Just telling you.
Courtney's just doing math.
So was I. I think I started in 2009. Anyways, but you know that era is marked by consumerism as feminism. We've talked about this
Yeah,
before on the
totally.
pod, and I saw it in the articles we were reading. And you forget that there was a real moment where feminism was having an identity crisis, if you will.
It was like entering its sex positive phase without shedding any of the consumerism that
Yeah.
surrounded it in that era. It was like post Nirvana, post Gen X worrying about selling out all the time. All of a sudden, shiny new girl power feminism comes to the fore. And, you know, it's all about taking pole classes and dressing like a slut whenever you want. But it's shallow.
It was
very
quite
shallow.
And I mean, it remains kind of like we live still in a version of this universe. Now we go like, okay, showing your body on Girls Gone Wild is not feminism actually, or I don't know where we're at, but now it's like transformed into a different kind of consumerism where we do like self-care. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you think it's such an oddity as a listener or whatever, it's like basically was the same thing as like the self-care moment. We were just doing
Yeah.
that with like showing honkers, getting boob
Yeah.
jobs. You're like,
Well, we
that
still
was
get boob
self-care.
jobs,
Yeah.
but back then, I
was
really
different.
I don't want to understate the Baroque quality that boob jobs all had in the late 90s, early aughts. They were like,
It had to be painful.
I mean, I'm sure some people
basically.
got them and I never knew it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure there were good boob jobs to be had, but the thing to do, the fashionable way to get a boob job was to have everybody know it and get them like impossibly big and round and high up on your chest and like not be shy about it,
Yeah.
which is great, but it's also, it really betrays, I think, the way we were thinking about sexuality. It was like very overt, in your face. Yes, I fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of the way
Showing
that we
her
did
thong.
bachelorette
the whale
parties.
tail.
It reminds me of like the way that we took on bachelorette parties from bachelor parties. It was like a comment directly fighting what men were doing, not about what women enjoy. It was more like a response
or a
to
response.
It was reactionary
Yeah.
in its way. It
Yeah.
was very reactive.
And I don't know. Yeah, I think people like had this conversation a lot where they were like, well, like I want to get a boob job. Like I feel insecure about my tits. But I know that someone's going to notice. So I am just going to go balls to the wall all the
Right.
way there. So if they notice, you know, so what? And I think there is some power to that, but like I think
I mean,
we
it
didn't.
is just
It was
looking
needed
back
in a
on the
moment.
odds.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't think it's
strange.
inherently powerful. I don't think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it was really a mistake to look at that expression and sensibility that sexuality had and try and reverse engineer it as feminism.
No, I
It's really
think
not.
there was something feminist about it. I will say, like, there was something
don't
feminist
agree.
about it, and that's totally fine. We don't have to agree, but I think that like we needed to get through that point in order to get where we are now, and I don't think there was any other way to get through it. Like, I just don't see how else we would have gotten
Ooh,
here.
very Hegelian of you. Yeah, you know.
But where are we now?
I don't know. I think
I don't
we're
know.
in where it's everything's still very bad. But I was
I don't
gonna
really
say
think
about-
anything changed.
Yeah,
Is
Well,
the thing. I
wait,
feel like
can
it was kind of an interlude, and then
definitely.
you know, we're here and you've got roughly the same proportion of people who are quote unquote sex negative, quote unquote sex positive. It's still a dueling sensibility. Nothing's really.
right. Well, when
I think
feminism
people
is
ex-
I think people appreciate more like natural beauty now. I mean, I think there is a movement to appreciate more natural
like
beauty. I mean,
Zoomers, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But also, everything is always a reaction to what came before. So there was now
Yeah.
it's like a reaction to anorexia is like body inclusivity, like everything. I think when feminism is limited to sensibility and fashions, you know, we've
Yeah.
lost our, you know, I don't really know what is ever going to count under that kind of like world of definition when it's like, do you fuck or do you not fuck, or do you wear slutty clothes and get a
Right.
boob job or do you not? It's like, okay, well that can't possibly be how we're defining this thing. Or I hope
Right.
not. Are you going to be a girl boss or are you going to be a stay-at-home mom? Like, I remember thinking that was the answer to feminism.
Was for me to get a job.
Yeah, I
what
was
a
like-
fucking racket that was.
Yeah.
I don't want a
now
job.
I'm like, no, we did it wrong.
Yeah. Put me in the kitchen, coach. I'm set. I love to cook and I hate to work.
I just got this in the mail. This just reminded me so much of the aughts. This is the Too Faced lip injection. I like ordered it.
I loved those lip glosses,
and
the
I was
ones
just
that hurt.
smelling it, and I was like, "Oh my god, it smells so like 2003." Would recommend.
I-
Yeah, it hurts.
I
It
loved
tingles.
those.
Me
The
too.
bee
But you
sting.
love the tingle. It
Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
like you're doing something when you have that tickle.
Yeah, so anyways, I don't think we'll solve feminism today, but it was definitely a response to the 90s feminism, as you said, Rox. I think it's a response to the denial of, you know, what do you say, selling out. Now we're like, no, actually selling out is hot.
Yeah, it became like this celebration of this very particular band of young woman socialites like Paris Hilton, Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan, people who had money and flaunted it and, you know, partied and flaunted it. And that became sort of aspirational for us. I don't think it was bad that happened. I just don't think, you know, I think it was a red herring. There were so many people making fucking comics about how to have sex and shit like that, and really not doing anything. Nothing
Yeah.
ever changed. It was just like there was this stuff available to look at and buy and absorb into yourself, but it wasn't theory and it wasn't really educational. It was it was a bunch of vanity projects that we convinced ourselves were making changes.
Right.
I don't really think anything ever did change.
No,
not really.
I mean, now what we do, we like, say self-care and like put a face mask on.
Right.
And the more expensive the face mask, the more you're caring for yourself.
Yeah, we kind of like replaced the vibrator with the face mask. I mean, that Sex and the City episode where everybody's like addicted to the rabbit vibrator.
Yeah,
that was so
era.
daring for its time.
Yeah.
And now we're just like, everybody kind of has a vibrator. Like everybody always did. It was just unmentionable once.
Right. That's really funny. I was thinking like one theory that I was just going to throw out there is like that maybe like the advent of social media changed like how we dress for Halloween. I can only think that posing all those photographs, like I remember like we still do this now, but it's a little different. But like right after a party in college, like the next day, there would be like 100 photos on Facebook of that party. And just like the costume was just so important. Like I remember I went as a sexy Russian spy. To one of these parties. Again, how could you be an unsexy Russian spy, to be fair?
So true.
But I'm not really sure how that fits in, but it just feels like there's something there, especially with Girls Gone Wild too, like this kind of reproduction of your sexuality on tape or on film or whatever has
and also like
this
this
to do with it.
I mean it becomes more acceptable, I guess, to as you say, produce your sexuality on film for the imagined audience that you're facing on social media. And it also becomes really scary. I mean, as we're all learning to exist on social media, revenge porn becomes a huge problem across the board for everybody. And stuff like that, you realize that the way that you behave at a party, but relatively in private, I mean, at a party of people that can become everyone's business just with a click. That was never a concern before, I don't think, unless you were, already a high-level celebrity.
You just have gossip, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and it could never be confirmed or denied, and people would believe what they wanted to believe, and now there's video evidence of everything everyone does all the time. And I think that might be part of the reaction against like sex positivity is people are now really deathly afraid of having their expressions of sexuality like posted.
Used against them.
They should be.
Used against them, and they won't be able to be hired for one thing or another.
Right. If it's not going to be used as like a revenge porn, they're, what are you're a kid and you make a ridiculous decision to go as, I don't know, a slutty cat, and then you don't get a job or something, it's just all these photographs can haunt you in a way that I don't think, happens anymore. But we've also just been so overexposed. Like the aughts was such a, sexual excess, like time of sexual excess that I think now the ironic turn post 2004 with like the Mean Girl stuff is kind of like, well, I guess we're done. It's no longer interesting in the same way that it once was. Now it's like, right, we have like ironic or clever sexy or, add sexy to the end of this.
I guess
something can't just be sexy. It becomes disreputable if something is just sexy.
Yeah, or like that. There's a different, at least like at my university, there was like the people who wore like Avenue were like sorority girls. And then there was like the ironic girls with curly hair.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. What were you going to say, Amber? Sorry.
Oh, no. I think there was just something like, I don't know. I guess I see it as feminist, this like sexualization, because this outward, like overt sexualization, this very like clear sexualization of yourself, because it's a way of, and I know this is not the way we see it anymore, but at the time it was like, I am taking ownership of my sexuality. If someone's going to comment on it, I am just going to make it very straightforward and very out there. And also like, I am in a way standing with other women who are doing this as well. Like that's the same way, like you would talk about your sexuality very openly, because when you did it, like it made it less taboo when other women did it. Like if you talk about it loudly, like I don't know, I have always been very open about my adventures, and I'm not ashamed of them. And so like, I don't know. And part of the reason why I do that is because I'm like, I don't think it should be something that is held against anybody. And if I do it and I am like privileged enough where like I can do that, then like maybe it won't be as bad for the next person who does it. But
yeah, that I fully agree with. And I think that it can be very interpersonally powerful. But I just think if we accept that the rules are being set not by any individual woman, but by a larger patriarchy, by a force who it's in their best interest to keep us ashamed and uncomfortable, if we believe that they're the ones making the rules, individual reclamations and expressions of pride can be interpersonally valuable, but you're not going to really get anywhere. You're going to make changes for yourself and within your social circles, and that's good to do. But
or like in the odds,
but I mean that's any. I mean that's personal responsibility. Like when it comes down to personal responsibility, that's a farce. Like that's not. You are not going to change anything by changing what you do individually. Obviously,
I don't know. I think the fact that I recycle is kind of,
it doesn't happen.
I'm gonna end this thing.
It doesn't happen. We don't recycle. That's not going anywhere, Courtney. I love you, but
I don't know if that's true, man.
But at the same time, when you clean your cans and you take good care of like the bottles and stuff, people do go through your trash and they get those and they can use them to make some money. Like there is something there. That is not maybe world changing, but it's being kind to the next person.
But the message we were being fed was that it could be world changing, and I think that was a ripoff.
I agree with that.
Ripped off.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that was a lie. But it's like any other personal responsibility lie. Like we can't do it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we got really close there to solving feminism. Who knows? So watch this space.
Don't watch this space. Never watch this space.
I heard you say that once, like forever ago now, and now I always am like, watch this space. Like it's a funniest
I have to say it all the time because in my various lines of work, there's always like one thing or another that's like about to happen that I want people to be aware of, and I have to say bullshit like watch this space, and really I just mean don't forget about me.
Please don't forget about me. I'm still here. I'm gonna be doing things, I promise.
I will, who knows? Maybe I'm gonna get a Leg Avenue outfit for this upcoming Halloween.
I would like that hand sanitizer one.
I want the hand sanitizer. It was sold out. I literally almost bought it. I was like,
there's also a banana bread one. That's also the other coronavirus inspired one. And then there was a mail-in. There's a mail-in ballot sexy outfit.
They're getting more clever. They're getting more clever as we get more clever with our DIY ones. That's so annoying.
No, they're copying us for sure.
The hanging Chad was definitely a one in like the early aughts after the Bush administration. Like, remember the hanging Chad phenomenon?
Yeah. Yes,
I do.
I feel like that was the beginning of a very funny Halloween costume spurt.
I love it. I do. Jake, our producer, said in our chat that there should be a coronavirus, like an actual coronavirus sexy costume, and there's not one yet.
I bet manufacturers are all like too soon.
But there are coronavirus costumes. But not sexy.
But the virus itself, that's...
No, I mean...
That feels like it crosses a line
for
the sorts of people
of the
who
virus.
Care.
Of the virus
there
itself.
Are.
No,
they're just
right, but not sexy
not
ones.
Sexy
they don't want to make it cute that way.
I see.
Coronavirus is for the boys.
Punishment is, a warm night. Do you guys have... are you guys going to dress up or do anything for Halloween? Do you have any costumes in mind?
I'm not that much of a Halloween adult anymore. Yeah. I had a phase, and
it looks cute on Instagram. I will hand it to those people who
I
really
feel
cute.
like I get an Instagram photo out of it, and I go for a night of partying on like the most crowded partying night of the year.
Yeah,
it's not so much. I don't like crowds,
I never go. I've never been one to go to a bar on Halloween. That's too stressful.
I don't like going out on a Saturday night.
Me neither.
Because it's too crowded.
Yeah, me too. So. I go out on like a Tuesday with all the 75-year-old men and their little lotto scratchers.
That's
I'm
my
chilling.
Style. I love that. I have been thinking about Halloween costumes for my dog, though.
Yeah, same. I already got one for my dog.
I want So, Boris kind of looks like Sir Didymus from the Labyrinth, the little like guy, the
Yeah,
little
yeah,
dog
yeah.
with the eye patch who rides the sheepdog. So I was looking for a costume like that for him, but I couldn't find one that was like him riding another bigger creature because it doesn't make sense. There's only ones for like sheepdogs that you put like a little Sir Didymus on it. So I figured I'd wear my big sheep jacket and then I would put Boris in a backpack on my back with like a little patch on his eye.
I love this.
That's very cute.
I love this.
Boom.
That's
I don't
very
know if
good.
he's gonna love the eye patch lifestyle, but you never
No,
know.
he's honestly very sweet about me whenever I put stuff on him.
I got
He's like,
Vera
okay,
costume.
sure.
Which is so silly. It's just like you put their paws in it. It's like kind of goes over her back, and it's of a camper, like a camper van decorated in like kitschy flamingos. I was like, I want that for Vera.
So
that's
Vera
what-
is dressing up as Bertha?
yes, kind of. more of like a Winnebago
Okay,
vibe,
cool.
but similar. Yeah, in
Cool.
the same wheelhouse as Bertha.
I got Shug a teddy bear costume, but
Oh.
she thinks it's an enemy. She always wants to tear it
Yeah,
apart.
I don't think Vera's gonna like it, but I'll take a photo.
No.
It's just for a photo, basically.
It's just for one photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
I saw a dog teddy bear costume and I'm imagining it now on Shug and it would be
so cute.
perfect.
I know.
It's very perfect.
Yeah.
I really hope that she'll play ball just for the length of a cute photo with a
Yeah.
little tooth sticking out.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
No problem.
Oh, Shuggy. So
Okay.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Yes.
That was that was us talking about slutty Halloween costumes. But yeah. Whoop. What was that noise? I don't know.
That was the juggalo noise. That's what the
That's
that's what they
going
do
on
at the
sexy
gathering.
Halloween costume. Boom.
Oh my god, I forgot to tell you.
Juggalos.
Wait, did I send you the White Claw, the sexy White Claw costume?
Oh my
You
god,
did,
yes,
yeah.
you did. Oh, that was beautiful.
I was
Courtney
like, I'd do
thinks
that.
Matt and I should dress up as sexy White Claws together.
They're a White Claw family. I don't know what to tell you.
You are a White Claw family. I do remember
That
that.
is true.
You ought to at least make him do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. He's definitely going to wear fishnets.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He'll like that. Subscribe to our Patreon. I
do
can't.
it.
I haven't which one's the patron episode
Well,
this week?
we
I
never
don't
know. Look, what do we look like?
We decide these things at the
Planners.
last second and not before.
So if this is a Patreon episode, you're welcome. We still think you should subscribe at
Yeah.
patreon.com/lowculture.
Yeah.
And this is going to be on YouTube. The
Yeah.
Tube of
Yeah.
Tube. I looked up youtube.com/lowcultureboil, and
We
that
don't
is
have that.
apparently not a thing. So just Google
We don't have
words.
that because
What
you
do we
need
have?
you need 100 subscribers in order to get a YouTube specific link. So please subscribe to our
subscribe.
YouTube.
Yeah.
That would
It
really
is
help
Low
us.
Culture Boil, but you have to find it by not the
If
URL.
you search Low
First of all,
Culture Boil, you'll find it. It's not-
who's URLing? You know what I mean? You're just Googling, and then the
Yeah.
URL comes up. So do that, and celebrate your life. Death, all of it.
Wow. What are you doing? You're just vamping. You're just talking. You've got the speakies.
We're
I've got
only
the
here once.
speakies.
Okay, we love you.
Auf Wiedersehen, bitches.
Bye.
Bye.